Thanks, Director of Contracts and Grants for the Department of Health Services.
All right, Kathy, thank you. If I read the board letter correctly, it states that the vendor is going to be getting annual cost of living adjustments without review.
Excuse me?
Without review. Is that correct?
That's not correct.
Okay.
I'd like to clarify that we did revise the board letter. There is COLA language in the contract, but it is totally discretionary to grant the COLA based on what the contractor submits to us. So there's parameters around the COLA, which are limited to the lesser of the movement in county salaries or the consumer price index movement over a 12-month period. When a contractor wants to request a COLA, and in this one the contractor would not be able to request a COLA until April 2017. At that time when they request a COLA, it's not automatic. We have a few contracts with COLAs, and what we do request the contractors to do is give us specific supporting documentation to support cost increases that are only associated with our contract services. So it's not automatic.
Okay, I mean that, because I was going to ask, I mean, if that's standard for multi-year contracts like this.
No, it's not. Typically, when you're doing your strategy process for requests for proposals, you will identify whether or not the service is something that would be subject to a possible cost of living increase in the future. You would build that into your solicitation. This was a sole source contract, and at the time that it was entered into, there was no COLA provision in it, and the contractor was expected to keep their prices fixed for the 6-year period of the contract.
So there is a review process, and some, I mean, if the cost of living went up 3%, they don't automatically get 3%. They'd have to justify that by performance, evaluation by the department. How does that work?
It's an evaluation by my office in concert with the auditor if necessary, and then we make a recommendation to our department head. So for example, if you had county movement in salaries at 3%, but the cost of living increase for the same period was only 2%, it's the lesser of. So there's that parameter on there, and then you're going to take a look at what the contractor is proposing as to why they need their cost increase.
But it's not automatic.
It's not automatic. It is at the county's discretion.
Thank you. I'll move the item.
Okay, the item's been moved. Before we take a vote, we do have public comment. Arnold Sachs and Eric Previn.
I have it right here.
Is this item 19 or
18.
item 18?
18.
Will I be given a chance to speak on 19?
A public comment.
No. Okay. That is very puzzling because here I am ready to speak on both.
Well,
Okay. So that is interesting for
I
our
have you
system.
listed as
Fine.
item
Okay,
18.
fair enough. Thank you for your interest in county
19's already
government.
been approved.
Item number 18 is the Sega Technologies matter that we've been discussing. Thank you for those diligent inquiries, Supervisor Kanabe. It is, of course, both the supervisors and the public's right and requirement to pay
Yes,
attention
fine,
to these
good.
matters so that there is clarity about what people are doing and not to squelch comment or reject any kind of input, because this is the public meeting at which it will be approved finally, thanks to the department's help in revising the board letter appropriately. This is, if I'm not mistaken, a sole source project. And I realize that when we expend sole source deals, we do so more or less by claiming some exemption or finding some reason to not do what the state law requires. Supervisor Ridley Thomas, good to see you, sir. And what I would recommend is that we state overtly what specifically is the reason for that, because I don't really see one. And although I'm very delighted to see that the Chief Information Officer, who happily chips in their point of view, which is go for it, I think it's important to just sort of understand why we're doing it that way, especially because we do it, and I hope I'm right, because there's a small chance that this was not sole source and was actually competitively bid recently. I don't think so. I may be confusing it with another item. But I'm very upset that I can't speak on item number 19. And as the chairman of the Parks and Rec Commission and leader, Mark Ridley Thomas, and you confer, I'm hoping that you're coming to some agreement that it would be better for Mr. Previn to speak on item 19 than to not. And with that, I will leave the remaining 14 seconds. Thank you, Mayor Antonovich, for chuckling along at the very serious violations of the open government rules. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.